Hey guys, Wrestling Throwdown here. I'm Haley and this is Joe, and we are going to talk about Smackdown. Now, before we start, I want to wish Jake Roberts well. I hope he's okay. I know he's not doing good. Um, I actually never really watched him like live because I never didn't watch wrestling when he was around, but I have watched a few of his matches and I really like the guy and everything. So I wish him well, and I hope he gets better soon.
I would certainly love to echo your sentiments on that. I'm a huge fan of the Snake. Um, I didn't really start watching wrestling when he was really at his peak, although he was involved in the 1996 Royal King of the Ring where Steve Austin won, which launched Austin 316 because he was doing the Bible stuff, John 316, and Austin flipped it and created on. So there's a modern day influence. Also had a great influence in the career of Diamond Dallas Page, but which obviously they're good friends, and DDP's looked out for him with his health and everything. But I mean, certainly the reports have not been good for Jake. One of the greatest psychologists of all time, the inventor of the DDT. Did you know that, Haley? He invented.
I did not know that.
And he called it the DDT, originating from the rat poison because it just dropped you, just like a rat. And he kind of like accidentally created it, but it was such a sick move, he went with it, and that was the origin of the DDT.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, Jake Roberts, awesome. Thoughts and prayers. Hope you pull through it, Snake.
Definitely. First match starts off is Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. Now I was actually interested to see this match because Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt have never really had a one-on-one match without getting interrupted, and obviously got interrupted again. I knew it was going to. The Wyatts came out, and well, they were already out, but they attacked Roman Reigns, and Joe's two favorite people in the world came out and saved Roman Reigns. Big Show and Mark Henry. I'm not really sure what it is, if they really just don't have anything for them, so they're just like saving all these big heroes like John Cena and Roman Reigns, and that's like all they're used for. I'm guessing that's what they're used for the time being, because they're obviously not number one contenders for the tag team titles. That's obviously Stardust versus and Goldust. So I'm not really sure if this is just kind of like their like superhero gimmick, like they're here to just save the day. I'm not really sure. Joe, what are your thoughts on this?
Maybe they can reprise the old APA gimmick, and they can be hired guns. I'd actually be quite intrigued with that if they did something like that. But because then it makes sense. You're paying for the help of the world's strongest man and the world's largest athlete. But I mean, right now it just screams of not knowing what to do with him. Big Show is in good shape. I will say something positive about Mr. Paul Wright. He's in very good shape. He's lost about 20, 30 pounds. He's in the best shape he's been in quite a few years. And Ryback. Mark Henry's in pretty good shape as well, all things considered. Looking there like Rick Ross with his bald head. But I mean, honestly, I want the opportunities to go to the youngins, and you sit there, and I don't want to give away spoilers, but later on you saw, as a false finish, Mark Henry hit Bray Wyatt with the world's strongest slam, just clean, like just stuff like that. Like, these guys, get out the way, let the new generation conquer. But that's just my thoughts on them. I don't think at this point, I don't think their use is very well quantified in the modern era.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't want to get rid of them, but they don't have anything for them. So it's just like, okay, for the time being, you're just going to save anyone who needs to be, and then we're going to put you in six-man tag team matches or whatever they're going to, because they've been doing six-man tag team matches. And speaking of six-man tag team matches, it was announced after that it was going to be a six-man tag team match with Roman Reigns, Mark Henry, Big Show versus the Wyatts later on for the main event. So that's pretty much all they got going right now, I guess.
I know. Just when we want to push Roman singles, we're going to put him back in six-man tags. Makes a lot of sense.
Next is a rematch, RVD versus Seth Rollins, and I want to apologize to Billy actually right now, because I thought main event was actually taped after SmackDown, but I guess it's taped before because Seth had the bump on SmackDown that he got for main event. And I posted a video on Wrestling Throwdown last night, guys, if you didn't see. Seth, it looked like he was cut open pretty good. It was kind of like swelling up almost. And I haven't really seen a cut look like that. I mean, Roman, I know he's been having some pretty bad cuts, but Seth, it looked like, I don't know, it was like swelling up and everything. It was kind of scary. But it looked like it healed up pretty good on SmackDown. He looked fine and everything, so I'm glad about that. This was pretty much a rematch because RVD won via countout in a main event against Seth Rollins, so this was a rematch, and Seth won this time with the blackout. Not much I can really say here, just a basic match. Seth didn't talk anymore about Dean or anything, and Roman didn't come out. So nothing really special here, just a rematch. Like I said, though, Seth really needs to work on his backstage attitude. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Joe?
I mean, I think Seth's probably in a better place than Dolph Ziggler when it comes to backstage attitude, just a personal opinion there. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, we've kind of seen this match a few times now. Seth's really been the winner for the most part, with the exception of RVD's count-out victory on main event. And, yeah, not really much to say. I mean, SmackDown didn't really have a lot of storylines injected in it this week, and that's where it left me feeling underwhelmed. Not really a lot of storyline injection.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of just matches just kind of all over the place, pretty much.
Yep.
Next actually was interesting. Now, this was probably one of the best things for SmackDown. It pretty much continued AJ and Paige. Emma versus Paige. And Paige won pretty fast, actually. And then AJ came out with a Caitlyn shirt actually on. She had a Caitlyn shirt on. I thought that was kind of cool. And she comes out with chocolates. And she says pretty much like, oh, it's not even Valentine's Day, and I got you some chocolates because you're my best friend and everything, and I love you. And Paige just looks at her really strangely, like she's just like, what the hell's wrong with her? Almost kind of like. And AJ just screams at her and says, eat one. And Paige, eats one. She chews it and everything, and then she spits it back up, like I guess on the floor pretty much. It looks like she spit it on the floor. And then she got out of the ring, she skipped away. And then AJ just smiles, and then she eats one from the box, and she just smiles at Paige. And that was pretty much all that happened there. But it's funny because I was reading spoilers, and spoilers said that AJ actually, after Paige spit it out, they acted like AJ got the one she spit out and put it back in her mouth and started eating it. And I was like, there's no way she did that. I was just like, I have to watch SmackDown because, there's no way she did it. And obviously she didn't. She got one from the box and ate one. So there was obviously a typo there. But it would have been interesting. I don't know. I guess it would have been more of a I don't know. But they are getting more kind of, I guess, lovey-dovey kind of thing. Who knows? She might show up with flowers next on Monday, and who knows if they're gonna, kiss eventually, not just a kiss on the hand. Who knows if AJ's just gonna jump in her arms one day? There's a lot they can do in 4 weeks. Well, 3 weeks now, I guess now, because, 1 week disappears. So 3 weeks, they can do a lot, especially since they've been using them on SmackDown, too. There's a lot they can do in 3 weeks with this to make it really, for AJ to get really into Paige's head. So I really kind of hope that eventually she does, like the last week right before pay-per-view, she jumps into her arms and just kisses her and leaves Paige confused and almost kind of like AJ got into inside her head. So when AJ wants to win her title back, she can, because Paige is going to be confused. She doesn't know what the heck's going on. She doesn't know what to do. And I think that would be a very good strategy, and I think a lot of people would like to see that, especially the guys. Joe, your opinion?
Yeah, that would be a big payday. I'd certainly rather see AJ kiss Paige than kiss Kane again or something awful like that. Definitely intriguing. Here's my fear with this, guys and gals and Haley and everybody in Wrestling Throwdown land, that this is kind of the goodbye tour for AJ. And you referenced AJ wearing Caitlyn's T-shirt, for obviously a close personal friend, probably her best friend from the business besides CM Punk. Could this be the goodbye tour for AJ? There's been a lot of rumors online. We posted thoughts on the Throwdown group. They're really doing a good job. I hope this whole storyline I hope this isn't one last hurrah for AJ, because I guess that's what's got me concerned. From the execution standpoint, I'm enjoying every minute of it. And Paige is going to be so strong when this is all said and done. But it's just I love AJ. She's been one of my favorites of the past few years. She's really carried the Divas division. They'd have Total Divas and all that kayfabe nonsense, but they wouldn't have had the legitimacy that the division has had without AJ Lee. And that's damn straight. And it's going to be sad to see her join Caitlyn in the going away party, perhaps, which certainly the rumors seem to be suggesting that's a possibility. So I guess that's just my thoughts on that. But overall, great feud.
Yeah, they actually said no more than a year she's going to be gone. So within the next year, whether it's a month or two or from all the way to a year, that she's not going to be much longer.
Nice.
Whether they do give her one more title reign or not, which I think they should give her one more title reign. I think it would be nice. But if they do want Paige to actually carry this and really make it look like, she's a top diva, then they probably shouldn't give AJ one more reign, and they probably should just have Paige beat her cleanly again, and then AJ just walk away, because Paige has obviously got the division right where it needs to be, and then Charlotte can come up and Charlotte and Paige can feud. Either Charlotte can turn face or whatever, or have a heel versus heel match for once. I think everyone would love to see that, but I know that's not going to happen. But I think Charlotte and Paige definitely could have some good matches. So I think that's what it's setting it up for AJ to eventually leave, Charlotte to come up, and her to start feuding with Paige, and we'll see how that goes.
I think there would be a lot of logic there. And I think you could see the Nature Boy Ric Flair possibly manage her a few times when she gets called up just to get her over as a face. That you mentioned she is a heel down there. So I feel like that will assist her in getting over as a baby face, especially if Paige really continues her dominance as a heel. And, what better way if AJ does end up bowing out within the next few months to call up Charlotte. And Nate doesn't have anything to do. They're putting him on stupid Legends panels and stuff. That would be much better than him managing Ziggler or managing Miz at this point, or Randy or whoever else. I'd love to see that. I think that'd be very interesting.
Definitely. Next is another rematch. Jack Swagger versus Rusev. There was a lot of rematches on this Smackdown. A lot of just...
result.
Rusev wins after Bo interferes. And he comes in the ring and he pretty much says, I threw in the towel to save you from further embarrassment because you just keep embarrassing yourself. And Jack Swagger tries to stand up and he tries to fight off. And Bo does the running bulldog on him. And that's that. It's kind of funny because my website said that this match is not technically, they don't plan on putting this on the card just yet. They actually plan on putting Rusev versus Mark Henry instead, which makes no sense because they haven't even been doing stuff for a week, really. Like, they didn't do anything Monday, did they? As long as I can remember, and they didn't do anything for SmackDown. And Jack Swagger and Bo Dallas have been doing stuff every Raw and SmackDown, and I think more people are more interested in seeing Bo versus Jack Swagger. I mean, this could be a good match. It's, and it's just like, I don't know if they're saving this for, the next pay-per-view or what, but it wouldn't make sense. If they're really planning on doing Mark Henry and Rusev instead of this match first, then they need to start focusing more on Mark Henry and Rusev instead of focusing on this, because then it wouldn't make no sense. It would just be a throwing match. It wouldn't even be a feud.
And Mark Henry is a singles. Mark Henry is being booked as a tag right now. He shouldn't be the next guy to get Rusev. He just shouldn't. Things that give me a brain aneurysm. Like, oh my God, lack of continuity. They treat us like we're freaking stupid. We watch the show every freaking week. We review every single goddamn show, and we see a lack of continuity here. I mean, for God's sakes, they tease the Mark Henry thing, and then they just give it away. So it's like, oh, is this like a one-shot deal? Is this like the whole reboot of the Nation with Kofi and Big E and Xavier all over again? But no, now they're going to resurrect it from the dead after focusing more. I will say, one thing we're ignoring here is despite Bo getting involved, Jack did tap.
Yes, I was getting to that. Jack did tap for the first time. And probably the past five matches, pretty much at least the last few. I was actually kind of surprised. I thought he was going to pass out again or something, but he tapped out. So it makes Bo look stronger and it makes Jack look weaker in this feud. So Bo, this is why this would be so perfect for Jack to finally get a win over Bo, because Bo's looking strong. He's looking like, oh, I've won matches, and Jack Swagger's been losing, especially since he tapped out to Rusev, so it makes it look even worse for Jack Swagger. So this could be a nice big win and finally get, the pop that he needs, finally beating Bo Dallas. I think this could be very good for both of them, because Bo, like I said, he's young. He just got. I mean, how long has he actually been on the main roster so far? Like 4 or 5 months? Not even, maybe, I don't know. But Bo is still young, and he has time to actually get himself pushed up, Jack, on the other hand, people are kind of almost, they're not really against him, but I'm still hearing stuff that why did they make him world champion and everything like that? That was a huge mistake. So Jack really needs this win, and he really needs to just prove it. So, because Bo is, like I said, on top right now, and Jack Swagger looks like he's below. So that's why I think it would just shock everybody, and it would be good for Jack Swagger for him to beat Bo in this.
I agree with that, the logic there. He does need to beat Bo to salvage his legitimacy, because he had gained a lot of legitimacy. You talk about his previous world title run and him cashing in on Jericho and it being not received well, being very short. He wasn't ready then. He wasn't even ready to win the briefcase. It was a very poor choice. It was their worst choice ever to win a briefcase, arguably. There's been others in the run. But that's arguably the worst. And he successfully cashed in the Tuesday after WrestleMania when Jericho beat Edge. He successfully cashed in. It was just very underwhelming. And now, like, Jack Swagger has earned the credibility. The fans are behind him. And I'm not saying he needs to beat Rusev, but he definitely needs to beat Bo. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And I am a Bo believer. But Swag definitely needs to beat Bo. No doubt about it. To salvage any kind of legitimacy. Unless we're planning another heel turn where he goes absolutely berserk or something. A losing streak with him any favors right now.
Yeah, definitely. Next, this is the only backstage segment of the night. There was a lot of matches. There wasn't very many backstage segments. Miz is pretty much talking to his agent backstage, and there's a tap on his shoulder, and he says, "I'm busy, autographs later," and everything. He said, "Oh, I can definitely come down. I have no matches, nothing booked, so I can be down there in an hour." And Corporate Kane shows up. And he says, "No, Miz, actually, you do have a match tonight, and I'm going to put you against Sheamus." And so, obviously, Sheamus versus Miz is later on tonight. And Corporate King says, "Oh, and by the way, Miz, I'm a huge fan of yours." It's really funny. But just something simple, I guess, to put Sheamus in there and Miz. So
it set the stage
for the match later, but it was just obviously we've seen that Miz was going to get out of this somehow, some way or another, because his whole gimmick right now is they can't touch his face, and that his face is the moneymaker, and it's precious to him. So obviously we knew something was going to happen, whether he was going to find another opponent or something. But we will talk about the match later. Joe, your thoughts on this backstage?
Oh, I love the payoff for it. If you connected to what I was saying on the Raw review, people will figure out why. But what I didn't like about it, I mean, it obviously set the stage for the match there, but I didn't like how Uncle Kane, he's messing with heels. Like, I don't understand that. Whatever. I understand there was no other authority figure to make a match. There's no more GMs. No other authority members were there. So I guess he was the highest ranking official there that could make a match. It just, to me, came off like a little, like, again, like, here's Kane zigging and he's zagging and he's zigging. Who knows? I can't even get a read on Kane anymore. But I did like the payoff for this, and I really like what they're doing with Miz. Like, I think this moneymaker, Andy Kaufman, Hollywood bitch sellout gimmick is really starting to work for him. I think he's starting to get comfortable with it, and I think the +1 in this scenario is only going to help.
Yeah, I was actually a little bit worried about this at first because it didn't work out for The Rock, but The Rock is obviously he was their main guy. Miz is more of a mid-carder to them. So I think it's more of the Miz because I don't know, I feel like Miz has done a better job with it and Miz has fit the role better. And it seems like he's more, like you said, more comfortable with it and he can do more stuff with it than The Rock. The Rock was the top guy, so and people didn't really want to see him as a Hollywood, they wanted to actually see him wrestle. For The Miz, a lot of people just they don't really he's not huge, he's just, even though I think he should be a little bit better than what they're giving him. But it's working out better for him because he's more comfortable, he can do more stuff with it, and the people seem to they don't really care too much about Miz. I'm not saying that there's not. I feel there's a lot of Miz haters out there. I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of people hate the Miz. I love the Miz, but a lot of people I've talked to, they don't like the Miz, and you can tell from the fans and everything like that. He does get a lot of hate, so that's why I think this gimmick works for him.
Yeah, I agree with the second part. With The Rock, the reason why the gimmick didn't work is because with The Rock, he was just too beloved. And his stuff was still awesome. It was funny. He was going back and forth, breaking kayfabe. I remember when Booker T eliminated him, become the #1 contender to Triple H at WrestleMania. He pretty much just put Booker over, and then if you watch the Raw After Show DVD, you can see even more hijinks that happened after that moment. But, yeah, with The Rock, I thought it fit because that's where he was legitimately going. And after his match with Lesnar and Hogan, he was starting to get more boos. So he just kind of flipped it on him and did what he does. And I think he had fun with it. But in terms of the overall impact of the sellout Rock character, it was forgettable at best in terms of what The Rock's done over the years. But it did give rise to the Rock concerts. That was given right after that. And we've had a lot of fun with the Rock concerts throughout the years. So that's one thing. I'll never forget when he was in Sacramento and he was singing the little Johnny Cash song, and he was like, and don't come back when the Lakers beat your ass in May or whatever. It was true at the time too, because the Lakers owned him. A little sports knowledge on you, but we're rambling here. Anyway, the Hollywood gimmick with The Miz, he needed this. The Miz, The Rock didn't need the gimmick. The Rock would have been fine as whatever. It was just another layer to The Rock. But The Miz was becoming forgettable, and he really needed something to sink his teeth into to make another impact because he had fallen big time from his initial point as the WWE champion. So now, maybe not be a WWE champion ever again, but get back into that Rowdy Piper credible category where he belongs. And I'm loving the presentation right now. The sunglasses, everything. It's growing on me. Every element of this storyline is good.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to watch. Next is another rematch. The Usos versus Goldust and Stardust, but this wasn't for the titles or anything, so.
No, I thought it was the singles. I thought it was just Cody versus Jimmy.
Was it? I thought it was. Oh, maybe it was.
They had a hurt knee.
Okay, guys.
They had a hurt knee, so it was just the singles with Jimmy and Cody.
Okay, so Jimmy and Cody, but Jimmy won with the roll-up, and Stardust and Goldust attacked him after, attacked both of them, and it's going to set them up as, I feel like, that's what they always do. They have these guys lose all the time because then when they actually fight for the title, if you guys have noticed the pattern, they usually win the title after they, because they just, I don't know, it's just weird how WWE does it. They make these guys win and everything like that, and then they'll have them lose. But they have had their titles for almost 7 months now, I think, the Usos. Yep. So it's definitely, I'm definitely seeing Goldust and Stardust winning. I think this would just be a waste if they did all this with them and had them turn heel and everything, because obviously they're heel right now. I don't know what you would call it if they're not heel. They're attacking them, so, and the Usos are baby faces, so obviously they're heels.
They brought El Torito into the crowd on main event. Apparently, they launched El Torito out. They launched on his ass like Kevin Nash did Rey Mysterio or something.
That's funny.
like like Matt Stafford to Megatron, deep boom.
That is funny. But yeah, it's just I think the heel turn can work though for Stardust and Cody. I think it's interesting. It gives them a little bit of something different because especially after they get these titles and then they eventually lose them, hopefully this sets them up for WrestleMania for the brother versus brother match that people have been wanting to see for years. Cody versus Goldust. I mean, people have been wanting to see it. They really wanted to see it last year, but they obviously didn't do that. And so this is the perfect time for them to set them up because then Cody, can get all mad or Goldust can get all
Joey Dice, you're live, Wrestling Throwdown. Not sure if we're still in the air or not. Haley is lost in translation. We are talking Smackdown review, baby.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I guess Joe left. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. I'll edit it in the video. But anyways, like I was saying, it just wouldn't make sense for the Goldust and Goldust and Stardust to turn heel and then not have them do anything with it and just not win the titles or anything because it just wouldn't make sense. And obviously these guys, I mean, the Usos have already beaten the Wyatts. And so the next tag team, and obviously Big Show and Mark Henry, they obviously don't know what they're doing with them, so that's obviously not a tag team. So obviously Goldust and Stardust are the natural people to beat the Usos for the titles, and so hopefully they do this, because if they don't, it wouldn't make any sense. That's all I gotta say.
I was hoping the Wyatts were going to win it. Obviously, that ship has sailed, but I really was hoping Eric and Luke were going to get the nod and hold the tag team titles. Obviously, that was not to be. Well, it seems like the logical point would be to put the belts on Stardust and Goldie. I don't know, though. I mean, you have the injury angle with Jay as well, so we can't forget this. And that's a chink in the armor that they can exploit, and they can sell that as the point. I can almost see the belts kind of trading back and forth, like the Dustbusters, as JBL likes to call it, holding them maybe for until SummerSlam, maybe until like TLC or something, and maybe the Usos get it back. I see the Usos getting it back, because as much as like the Goldust Stardust combination is good for the short term, it's not good for the long term. I think teams like the Ascension, teams like Kevin Steen and Prince Devitt, if they do end up working them as a tag team, which is very interesting on paper, even teams like Slatagata, get in the mix, and just anybody with Big Show and Mark Henry. Captain Insano, show no mercy.
I would love it if Slater Gator won the titles. Just something for Heath to just, oh my god. And obviously, I think Vince likes him, because if he didn't, why would he, release Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal and keep Heath Slater? Obviously, they like Heath Slater. Obviously, maybe he has a good attitude backstage for all the stuff they've been doing to him and giving him, and all this crappy stuff they've been giving to him. Something is making him look good where they want to keep him. Because And the people like him too. He's getting pops. I've heard people are totally behind him getting a title. People were going nuts when he beat Seth Rollins, last month. So it's like he has everything. He has the pop. And, like I said, I'm not asking for, a WWE World title shot right now. I'm asking for, a U.S. title or a tag team title, something to give him potential and to, get the fans behind him because, they haven't really seen his moveset. They haven't really seen what he could do because he's just been booked so badly.
Doesn't he do like a running ace? You're right, though.
He's changed his finishing move quite a few times, actually. I've seen him use a different finishing move the past, few times he's wrestled, actually, to tell you the truth.
Wow.
So,
yeah. And I feel like what Slater and Gator have in common, Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil, is they both, I think Vince sees the potential in the both of them. They've both been utilized in roles, interacting with celebrities. Oftentimes, Slater has interacted with Flo Rida and with the guest hosts. If you remember, Slater was the guy who was getting beat by all the legends leading up to Raw 1000 with Lita and Big Van Vader and DDP and Rikishi and all these guys that came out. So, Slater, they see potential in him. They wouldn't have him do this kind of stuff if they didn't. And they've done similar stuff with Titus. He got involved with the Michael Strahan segment. He's been actively involved in the JBL and Cole show. So I feel like Titus O'Neil as well as Heath Slater, they're both very charismatic. They're not boring. They entertain me. They're not, Titus O'Neil's improved a lot, but he'll never be like the show stealer. But he can now he's got an upgrade over Darren Young, in my opinion. No diss to Darren Young, but Darren Young was kind of vanilla, for lack of a better word. He just, Mr. No Days Off is kind of Mr. What else is there? He's a good worker, but there's really not much besides that. He has a pick in his hair. Well, he announced he was gay. Maybe he announced that just so he could get some, infusion in his character. They didn't do anything with that. Not that that should influence your character or what your preference actually is. But, in all actuality, they just haven't done anything with him. So it's But getting back to Slater Gator, we're getting on a Slater Gator tangent. I had a feeling this was going to happen. Slater Gator. This tangent was brought to you by Slater Gator. But, I'm fans, and maybe they don't get the titles, but let's at least get them to the mix. Let's try to get them at least where the primetime players are at, or, Hawkins and Tyler Rex, teams that they've really dropped the ball on. I'm a big Kurt Hawkins fan, too.
Yeah, you know what? Him and Zack Ryder, that was another one they should have used as a tag team. Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder.
United them and done something with them, but no.
Yeah. They messed the ball with all these tag teams, and then they just, I don't know, this is crazy. And then they split them all up. It's just crazy. Yep. Next is something I know Joe wants to talk about, The Miz versus Sheamus. And guess what? You were right. It looks like they're actually going to do this. I was actually shocked and surprised. Damian Sandow looks like he's going to be officially Miz's stunt double now, and he's going to be wrestling for him for all his matches.
I love it.
His title matches.
I'm a huge fan of it. It gives him something to do. This is the payoff for the dress-up character gimmick. And now he can run with this, and it entertains me. Damian Mizdow, if this is the highest he gets, he can run with this for 6 months and restore some credibility at the and lose every match, but it'll still mean something because it'll be connected to Miz and connected to the storyline. So I love it. I'm a fan of it. I laugh if it gets to a point where he actually wins maybe an Intercontinental title #1 contender match, and maybe him and Miz would squabble over it. There's potential here. There's possibilities. They can play with this, and maybe it got good reviews. I had a feeling it was probably going to be a one-shot deal, but I think it probably got good reviews on social media and wherever else. And so now, hopefully, they're going to run with this. So, I'm a fan. Damian Mizdow. Awesome.
Yeah, my brother's excited too. He loves Damian Sandow. That's like his favorite wrestler. He loves him. I don't get it. I really am not a huge fan of Damian Sandow, but I do think he deserves better than what they have been giving him. I definitely I definitely agree with that, and I do think this is going to be good for him. Um, for the title matches, though, I'm not sure. I think Miz is obviously going to still wrestle those. At least I would think. I think it would be funny though if Damian Center would wrestle with those two, and then especially if he won him the title, they would be fighting over it. It would be funny. But Sheamus won. It was a pretty fast match. And like the Miz, he clapped and everything and he was happy because his face was still in contact and, all that. So, like I said, they really could do some good stuff with this. It's pretty funny, it's pretty entertaining, and we'll see what happens.
Love it. I wish I had thought of it. That's what he's done double. It's genius.
This was the main event, last match, the six-man tag team match with Big Show, Mark Henry, Roman versus the Wyatts. And, of course, baby faces pick up the win, Roman, Big Show, and Mark Henry.
I know we're not trying to dissect the match, but did Roman even do anything in this match besides the big finish? It seemed like Big Show and Mark Henry, and I wasn't
Big Show and Mark Henry most of the yeah. Well, they just wanted, I don't know. I guess they're just trying to make Roman be kind of like I don't know. They wanted him obviously to get the finish, so they needed him to have a strong finish, I guess. So maybe that's why they told him to stay out of the match.
And this is why if Roman locks up with Seth and Dean in a feud, this is what he needs. Because they both know how to do it and can do it with blindfold, hands tied, great workers. Roman, he's got some flaws in his game, and I feel like he's not ready for Lesnar yet. So doing matches that hide his flaws at this point, you need to work on his flaws, and he needs to add layers to his game. And now, essentially, he's just doing what he was doing. 6-man tags, it's the Shield just with guys who aren't the Shield.
Yeah, because Seth and Dean did most of the work, and then he just came out of nowhere and speared people.
Yep.
And, it's sorry to say, but it's the truth, That's
why
I think...
flying kick, too.
Yeah, and you know what? I am going to talk about this for a minute because I was actually very pissed off when I read this. Word is WWE does not see Dean Ambrose as a main eventer, and he's going to stay in the mid-card until... I was pissed. I was like, so you're going to have Roman Reigns. No offense to the Roman Reigns got people. I do think they all need to be main eventers. But it's just like, if you're going to have Roman Reigns on there, you definitely need to have Dean Ambrose on there. Because in my opinion, Dean Ambrose is better than Roman Reigns. And I think it's really messed up. I don't know if they just don't like his out-of-control gimmick, or they don't like that the fans are so behind him, or what. But even the fans are really behind Roman, and that's like their new rock. So I don't get it. I was pissed when I read this. I really hope he does get in the main event soon, hopefully the next year, because this really pisses me off. Because I was worried about this, and a lot of people I think were worried about this, that Dean Ambrose was going to be the one to fall behind if they had to pick anybody, that Seth and Roman were going to go to the top and Dean was going to go stay at the mid-card. And it really, I mean, he could still have some great feuds and everything, but it's just like, oh, it just makes me so mad. Like, this guy is amazing on the mic. He's amazing in the ring. And it's just like they're going to just kill him. It pisses me off. Joe, what are your thoughts on this? I know you're probably pissed, too.
I'm not as pissed as you would think, because time will tell what actually happens. They can say all they want. They said Daniel Bryan wasn't the main eventer. They tried to push that down our throat. And Daniel Bryan, they said the same thing about CM Punk. You know what I mean? The cream, the Macho Man Randy Savage would say, "Ooh, yeah, the cream of the crop." Ooh, and that's my opinion. Dean Ambrose will get there. He's too good not to. The fans are too behind him not to. Face or heel, I mean, yeah, maybe he gets into Ziggler territory, but the fans haven't given up on Ziggler, and look at Ziggler it took him a while, and Dean Ambrose isn't I'm not trying to talk shit about Ziggler because I love Ziggler, but Ziggler isn't like the crybaby rather, Ambrose isn't the crybaby that Ziggler is. He's busted his ass through the independents to get here, former CCW World Heavyweight Champion, multiple World Champion throughout the independent scene. He was never NXT or FCW World Champion, was he?
No, he wasn't. He kept fighting. He kept trying to fight for against Seth and everything, and he lost every single match that him and Seth had. And Seth usually had the title when he fought. So no, he didn't.
He's too good. They don't have that many ready-made stars, and they're kind of flim-flamming with Bray Wyatt here. I'm a little concerned about Bray Wyatt. I'm hoping Bray Wyatt isn't getting Cesaro territory here. I'm really starting to get concerned about this. They, like you say, they're pushing the guys up and down. They're in desperate need of stars. They're in a position with Brock Lesnar where after the Cena match, they're scrambling for opponents. They're probably going to call Batista. They're going to call Kurt Angle. They're going to call everybody who's not in their roster because people just aren't ready for that. Yeah, I mean, what, you got to put Kane against them? Give me a break. This is just, it's very... It's disconcerting to hear it. I'm not happy as a Dean Ambrose fan. I mean, he's my favorite of the three. I love Dean. I'm a big fan of Mox. Moxicity, baby. But he'll use this for motivation, and I know he'll be a world champion one day. I don't know. I think he'll be more of a world champion like Mick Foley than Steve Austin, but I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I do, I mean, Seth Rollins will be the Shawn Michaels who has a long run. Roman Reigns will be like Triple H or Rock. Yeah, I mean,
The Rock, yeah.
But I see some Triple H actually too. To me, Dean Ambrose will get there. There's just not enough stars there. There just isn't. They have no choice but to have him in the mix. Suppose Bryan has to retire because these injuries are just too much. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. CM Punk's probably never coming back. They need stars. John Cena's... John Cena's John Cena. Randy Orton doesn't seem to be able to cut the mustard as a main event draw anymore. Not trying to shoot on Randall, big fan, but doesn't seem to be quite an interesting main eventer anymore. So, and that's why we see Randy and Brock. That's a dream match we haven't seen since they were babies. But we're not seeing that because they don't even trust Randy, a 12-time. We don't even trust a 12-time World Heavyweight Champion to go against Lesnar. Are you kidding me? So,
they have just now been starting to do stuff with him. They have just now been trying to make him aggressive and more physical. And it's just like, well, where was this like a few years ago? Where was this when he really needed it? You're just now going to do this because if you guys built this up for at least a year, he could be ready for Brock Lesnar, and he is ready for Brock Lesnar. I would love it. I actually think he is going to face Brock Lesnar eventually, definitely before Roman gets to him.
No choice. They have absolutely no choice. Who the hell else they got to do it? And I'd take an Undertaker out of MJ coming out of short hair paralysis to come wrestle. You know what I mean? Jericho's too part-time to do it. Rob Van Dam will get ripped apart. At this point, I'm almost fearful of Kurt Angle getting in the ring with that monster because Kurt Angle could severely injure, if not end his damn career. Batista has had injuries. I think Batista could hold his own, and I think he would be, of all these names, I think Batista's the most credible challenger, and then Randy right behind him, just when you think of size, style. But Brock's got the size, Brock's got the power, and Brock's got slightly youth advantage, and been less injury prone than Batista as far as certain injuries goes. So they're just, obviously Dean Ambrose or Seth, they can't even, none of these guys, these are the three stars on the rise, the three of them. Dean Ambrose is not going to turn to X-Pac. Okay, so let's calm down. He's not going to turn to X-Pac. He's not going to turn into William Regal. As much as there is a fear that he might, I know in my heart he's going to be world. I just know it. And when it happens, we're all going to rejoice. There's Running in the Banks, there's Royal Rumbles, there's Elimination Chambers. He will find a way. And even if he's never world champion, he will be in the mix, and he will be of the likes of Rowdy Piper Lance also. Who was never a world champion, by the way.
Yeah. The thing with Batista is he's going to get way too out of breath for if he faces Brock Lesnar. I think he's going to just pass over. I really do. I think he's going to pass out. You see him in these recent matches going like this, huffing and puffing, And it's like he's in good physical shape, and it's so weird. He's in good physical shape, but when it comes to in-ring shape, he's horrible. Oh my God, he's like, I mean, it's like carrying himself like a 500-pound man or something. I don't even know. It's just, it's crazy.
I feel like in the Royal Rumble that was very evident. He's blown up after his little feud. But I actually disagree with you. I thought at WrestleMania he put on a decent performance. I thought that he wrestled about 2 matches against Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown. I thought both were very good. I thought he really hung in there with Dolph Ziggler, and they really meshed. Reminded me of when Batista used to wrestle Edge and the chemistry that they had. Batista's not the shits. He's not the shits. And I think people diagnosed him with the shits just because of how it was done. This was WWE's fault, not Batista's fault. They're the one that had him win the Royal Rumble. They're the ones that put him in the triple threat match. They could have done they could have had him go against Cena. They could have had him go against Undertaker. They could have had him go against Brock. They could have had him go against Randy. All dream matchups that would have been WrestleMania. Triple H, of course, would have been a rematch too. They could have put him against any of those guys, but they chose to do what they did. And they thought the fans would just take to him like flies on shit. And the opposite happened. They turned on him. They wanted Daniel Bryan, and he was the scapegoat. Him and Rey Mysterio, sadly, another guy I respect, were the scapegoat for what was the infamous Royal Rumble incident with no Daniel Bryan in the main event. So Batista was stained from that. And when you actually look at his work, like I said, like the Royal Rumble match itself, the shits. The matches with Alberto Del Rio, the shits. And you wonder what actual chemistry they did or didn't have for whatever reasons. 2 matches I saw with Ziggler on SmackDown, both 4 out of 5 stars. The matches he had with Evolution versus The Shield, I'm not saying he carried the weight, but he was the part of them, and they were Match of the Year candidates. So, really almost every Match of the Year candidate has involved The Shield or Seth and Dean in some way.
Pretty much.
So I mean, Batista wasn't the shits. It was just the way he was booked. And look, he's laughing all the way to the bank now. How much is Guardians of the Galaxy made? I mean, over 300 million plus 350 million. Biggest movie of the summer. Who saw that one coming? WWE didn't even want to touch that with promotion. That ended up being the biggest movie of the summer. Like, they're doing Star Wars numbers. So I'm actually really happy for Batista, and I felt bad that the fans turned on him the way he did. I don't think he really deserved that. He was gone for 4 years, and it's not like he was, like, awful. He was the second best act to John Cena. At times, he was a better performer than John Cena. His matches with Undertaker, borderline legendary. His feud with Edge, outstanding. He did some good work. His matches with Triple H, that put him on the map, very good. So, yeah, his matches with Rey Mysterio, very good. His matches with John Cena, very good. So I'm not a Batista hater. I'm actually a fan of the animal, and I wanted to set the record straight. There's a lot of Batista haters out there, and maybe I'll get heat for this, but I do feel like he'd be a credible, not to say he'd beat Brock. I don't think that. But I think you can get 2 matches out of that. If we want to think math, we got to look at math here. We got, after Night of Champions, we got what? Hell in the Cell, Survivor, TLC, Royal Rumble, and Elimination Chamber. So, I mean, Elimination Chamber, pick 5 guys and have them destroy them. But 4 out of those 5 matches, you're going to have an issue booking. So, Randy 2, Batista 2. That covers it.
Pretty much.
It's simple math as a booker. It's people overthink the situation. This is the pieces on the chessboard. Yeah, and who knows if Batista's even going to come back. Like, at this point, he's laughing all the way to the bank. I don't think we'll see him back. I think he will be back, but not as soon as people think. So that could hurt the plans too.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to us, hit that thumbs up button, like our page on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to Joe's channel too. I'll put all the links in the description.
That's
and
right,
Joe, do you have
folks.
anything you got to say about your wrestling? Any upcoming news?
Big shout out to Mason Marks, who presented the Central Falls Super Show, 4th annual Central Falls Super Show. Companies getting involved, including RICW and the Renegade Wrestling Alliance, RWA. We entertained over 100 kids, gave them an excuse to get out the house, get out the inner cities of Central Falls and Providence, just kind of some grimy areas, and go out and hang out in a baseball field and watch some wrestling. And we got some good crowd heat. I personally got some good reactions. I also won a battle royal, which was nice. So all in all, good times. And just big shout out, October 4th, drumsticks and drop kicks. October 4th, 65 Manchester Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Tickets are $10. Grab them while you can.
This has been Wrestling Throwdown, and we will see you in the next one.